The U.S. should abolish the use of the death penalty. There are many reasons for this conclusion. According to the Death Penalty Information Center in 2010, the approximate number of death row inmates for all 35 states that still use the death penalty was 3,227. Yet only 46 of the inmates were sentenced to death. For these inmates to be executed, nearly $2 million were spent per person, whereas to keep an inmate in prison for life is only $500,000. That's 4 times less. Since the death penalty was reinstated in 1976, 82 inmates have been freed from death row. That's 1 death row inmate found to be wrongfully convicted for every 7 executed. These are only some of the problems that exist with the death penalty still being enforced. Besides the overall facts, one value is very underemphasized, and that is the value of life. It sends the wrong message. Why kill people who kill people to show killing is wrong? Yes, we want to make sure that there is accountability for crime. However, the death penalty has a message of, you killed one of us, so we'll kill you. The state is actually using a murder to punish someone who committed a murder. Does that make sense? We as a society have to move away from the eye for an eye revenge mentality if civilization is to advance. Eye for an eye mentality will never solve anything. A revenge philosophy inevitably leads to an endless cycle of violence. Why do you think the Israeli-Palestine conflict has been going on for 60+ years? Why do you think gang violence in this country never seems to end? It is important to send a message to society that striking back at your enemy purely for revenge will always make matters worse. In the matters of the financial, cost to taxpayers of capital punishment is several times that of keeping someone in prison for life. Most people don't realize that carrying out one death sentence costs 2 to 5 times more than keeping that same criminal in prison for the rest of his life. How can this be? It has to do with the endless appeals, additional required procedures, legal wrangling that drag the process out. It's not unusual for a prisoner to be on death row for 15 to 20 years. Judges, attorneys, court reporters, clerks, the court facilities all require a substantial investment by the taxpayers. According to the California Commission on Fair Administration of Justice, using conservative rough projections, the Commission estimates the annual cost of the present capital punishment system is $137 million per year. The system, which imposes a maximum penalty of lifetime incarceration instead of the death penalty, would be only $11.5 million. The use of the death penalty creates harm towards others, whether it is emotional, physical, or financial. The physical aspect is obviously the death of an inmate on death row. What is even worse is the death of an innocent person. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, since 1973, 141 people in 26 states have been released from death row with evidence of their innocence. On the emotional side, the death penalty process is a traumatizing experience for families, often requiring them to relive the pain and suffering of the death of their loved one for many years. Life without parole provides certain punishment without the endless reopening of wounds. The cost of the death penalty is causing taxpayers' money to go to waste. In California, the death penalty has totaled over $4 billion since 1978. In Maryland, 5 executions cost the state $186 million. The taxpayers in New Jersey had to pay $253 million to pay for the death penalty. This money could be going towards our country's education system or many other beneficial organizations. This policy's enforcement is also weak. According to CNN World, 9,722 people were sentenced to death in the U.S. between 1970 and 2009, of which 15% were sentenced since 2000. At the end of 2009, 12% of those sentenced since 1970 have been executed. A third were still on death row, and the rest had their sentence commuted or conviction overturned, died of other causes, or otherwise had their death sentences canceled. Between sentencing and execution, an average over 12 years elapse, a duration that has doubled since the 1980s. With all this information in mind, I hope that you would conclude that the death penalty policy, the way it is not effective and should be abolished. Illinois was the 16th state to abolish the death penalty, and the funds that are going to be saved by repealing the death penalty are going to be reallocated to services for the victims' families and training for law enforcement. Other states should follow Illinois' example and abolish the use of the death penalty and have life imprisonment without parole instead.